Hey everybody, the purpose of this video is to show you how to work a few of the problems on practice 6 labeled mixed numbers and improper fractions and demonstrate the steps and provide you an example of what it means to show your work on these and to simplify your answers. So let's do number 1. It says to write each improper fraction as a mixed number in simplest form. And I did give you a hint on your paper with 2 steps. I said first divide the numerator by the denominator, and that means divide the top by the bottom. So that means the top by the bottom. So that's how you would write it. And then your step 2 says simplify. So let's work on step 1. So I know that that's about 25. And so if I'm estimating, I know that 25 goes into 75 about 3 times. So I'm guessing 26 will go into 84 about 3 times as well. So 3 times 6 is 18, and I have to carry my 1. And 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then I subtract, and I can't say 4 minus 8, so I have to borrow from the 8. So I have 14 minus 8 is 6, and 7 minus 7 is 0. When you get to this point, we don't want to add a decimal and a 0 for these purposes when we're turning it into a mixed number. So what we want to do is from here, we want to take the remainder and put it over the denominator. So right now we've got 3 and 6 26. So 3 and 6 26. But we are not in a simplified form because I know that 6 and 26 both share a common factor of 2 at least. And so if I divide them both by 2, I would keep my whole number, and I would just do the fraction part, which is 3 over 13. And 3 and 13 do not share any common factors, so we are in the simplest form. So I first took the numerator and I divided it by the denominator, and I worked it out. And I took my remainder and I placed it over, which is the denominator. But I did realize that it needed simplifying, and so I found a common factor in both the numerator and the denominator and divided by that to get it in its simplest form. Okay, so I'll work another one for you just like that. So let's do number 2. It is 64 over 47. So that's an improper fraction, and we are trying to turn that into a mixed number. So I would take and do step 1, which is take the numerator and divide it by the denominator. And I know that that's about 50. And if I said 2, it would be too much because it would be near 100. So I'll just choose 1. And so that would be 14 minus 7 because I can't say 4 minus 7. So 14 minus 7 is 7. And then 5 minus 4 is 1 because I had to borrow 1 from the 6 and make it 5. Now, I have a remainder, and remember it goes over the denominator. So now I have 1 and 17 47ths, and I have to decide, is it in simplest form? And it actually is, because there's no common factor, because 17 is already a prime number. It can't be divided by anything else, 47 either. So we are finished there. It is already in simplified form. So that's how you do the entire top section of your paper where you are writing each improper fraction as a mixed number. So now let's look at examples for the bottom of the page that says write each mixed number as an improper fraction. So let's look at number 10. It is 2 and 3/4. And it says write it as an improper fraction. So remember on these that you can spin the wheel, is how we worded it in class, which means you can take the denominator and multiply it by the whole number and then add that to the numerator. And that gives you 4 times 2 plus 3. So that's 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3 is 11, and you keep your denominator. And so that's how you take a mixed number and change it into an improper fraction. Let's do another one. Let's look at number 11. Number 11 is 7 1/8. We can spin the wheel, and that means you take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and then add that to the numerator. So that's 8 times 7, which is 56, plus 1, which is 57, and place it over the same denominator. So we have 57 over 8. So that's how you go from mixed number to improper fraction.